is made, whatever betide, God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide, God will take care of you.
I want to call the attention of us to the book of John, chapter 11, verse 1 to 6, then to 17. You can just write because we may not have time to read. We'll do the book of Psalms 40, verse 1. The book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. There is part B of it. Then the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 7, part A of it. Then lastly, we have the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 2, and chapter 1, verse 3. We will both do part 1 of those texts. But our key text is the book of John, chapter 11, verse 1 through 6. Then we jump to 17. I'll read. Now a man was sick, Lazarus from Bethany, the village of Martha and her sister Mary. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with a fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, and it was her brother Lazarus who was sick. So the sisters sent a message to him, Lord, the one you love is sick. When Jesus heard it, he said, this sickness will not end in death, but is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. Verse 17. When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb 4 days. A man walked into an hotel. He make an order for a meal. The waiter moves to the kitchen to do the preparation. After some time, another man walks into the hotel and makes an order equally. But the waiter does her best to prepare it for so fast. And the second man who brought the order is given what he ordered for. The first man, seeing the delivery of the second order being done, he got mad at the waiter and asked of her, I was the first one to make an order in this premise of thine. But why am I waiting for so long? But this young man was just walking, he has just placed an order, and you have prepared his meal, and he already has it on the table. But the waiter told him, what you have ordered cannot be compared to what this young man has ordered. You have ordered something of quality, and it will take time for it to be given unto you. But this man just walked in, he needed a hot water, and it took us the less time to give it out. This man was tired of waiting. 2 people falls in love, and the other one has to go through the career path. The lady is being told, it is true, I'll marry you, but my education will take me around 7 years, so just keep cool, because after the 7 years, I'll come back home and marry you. It is not easy to wait, but at times we live under the sun where we have to wait for some things. And we have to register in our mind that there is a blessing in waiting. In our lives, we have prayer items we have placed before God. And we used to think that God would answer them immediately. And some of them, to a good number of us, may be getting tired We are asking, oh Lord, how long will it take for you to hearken unto my prayer? There is still blessing in waiting. And I want to share with you this evening, if you feel the waiting is becoming too much and God is late, I want to share with you that within the third day of prayer, God is not late for your case. Chapter 11 of the book of John bring us together and we walk unto Bethany, where we meet Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. The Bible records the three were true friends of Jesus, and Jesus really loved them. But the opening of that text, a message is sent unto Jesus, and he is told, your friend Lazarus is sick. It painted a picture in my mind. Even the friends of God usually fall sick. Even the friends of God, the beloved of God, misfortune befall on them. Even the pastors, they meet misfortune in their journey. Daughters and sons of God like you, could be you have done your best to be faithful in this journey. But along your path, you may still meet a misfortune. It always happens to the own of God. The expectation of Martha and Mary when they had sent message unto Jesus, because their account with Jesus was so good, or I would say their CV with Jesus was so good. When you ask of, what do you know about Mary and Jesus? Somebody will tell you, Pastor, Mary is the lady who anointed Jesus, and this is the lady who took her hair and wiped the feet of Jesus. And when asked, what do you know about Martha? Somebody will tell you, Pastor, I know Martha, the chief cook, always Jesus visits with Bethany. It was Martha who used to cook for him. When they were at a feast, you would suggest that Jesus was to rush or run to Bethany to meet them at their point of need. But the Bible records, when Jesus heard of that message, it took 2 more days where he was. There comes a moment where we need God to hearken unto our prayer. Depending on how we have walked with him, we can tell God, do you remember? We can remember the story of Zechariah. Not really Zechariah, but the story of Ezekiel. When God told him you will die, he told God, can you remember my account? I've faithfully walked with you. And the Bible records God added him 15 more years. At times when your life is at a fixed, you may be tempted to tell God, can you remember, oh Lord, how I've walked with you? Mary and Martha would turn and tell Jesus, if you can forget everything, don't forget the anointment and the food we have been cooking for you throughout. But if you can remember that, may it be the strength that will push you so that you can rescue us. But the Bible records, Jesus stayed 2 more days. I don't know what was ringing in the mind of Martha and Mary. They were asking, why are you late for us, oh Jesus? When you needed us, we did our best. When you needed somebody to anoint you, we anointed you. When you needed somebody to cook for you, we did it for you. Then you were in need, oh Lord. We came unto your rescue. Now we are in need. Why are you so late, oh Lord, unto our situation? There we meet with Martha and Mary, some of us in this gathering. Maybe a lady is asking God, why are you late for my case, oh Lord? Can you remember everything I've done for you? Now it is my turn to meet me at my point of need. Maybe there's a brother in this gathering who is saying, God, I've done my best. And if you can check my account just like Hezekiah, you'll find everything I've done, I've been so faithful. But I'm at my point of need. God, may you hearken unto my prayer. The Bible records in the book of John, Jesus stayed 2 more days. It was not only 2 more days, because when he visits with Bethany, he finds Lazarus in the grave after 4 days. So I would say, or rebrand the text, Jesus stayed late for them 4 more days. What do you think was ringing in the mind of Martha and Mary? You mean, Jesus, you can be late for us? And the people who never did anything unto you, like the in-law of Peter, when you heard she was, you ran immediately and rescued her. But now when it is our turn, you are getting late for our case. I want to paint a picture out of this text. Could be that is your position or that is my position. And we are asking God, why are you so late for my case? But I want to give you a remedy to take home the answer to that question. You may think God is late to answer your petition, but God is not late. A little study on the text. There was a belief in Israel that after 3 days, or within the framework of 3 days, when a man is dead, the spirit, day 1, day 2, day 3, the spirit of this dead man could be hovering over him, and day 1, the spirit would go back, and the man would come back to life. If it never happened in day 1, they were expecting it in day 2. The spirit would go back, and the man would resurrect and come back to life. And if never happened in day 2, it could happen in day 3. They expected it because it was a belief. The spirit of this dead man would go back, and this man would come back to life. But when day 3 was over, all the Israelites would say, this man will never resurrect. If he has to, he will come back to life. If his path was right with God, he will resurrect during the eternal time. That explained the principle why Jesus visited on the 4th day. Another thing I want to say and share, in the text, we'll meet the Sadducees and the Pharisees. The Pharisees believed in resurrection in 2 occasions. Number 1, within the framework of 3 days I've just mentioned. If not within the 3 days, the resurrection would happen or occur when Jesus was to come back later in the day. So on day 4, the Pharisees had closed the chapter of Lazarus coming back to life. The Sadducees, they never believe at any point in resurrection. And at day 4, the Sadducees would not give any hope to Martha and Mary. The story was over. But amidst all that, I want to say and share, there's a blessing in waiting, and there's a blessing in waiting upon the Lord. And I want to share and say, God is not late for your case. It may appear that the Lord is late. Maybe somebody has been praying over an item and is asking, Pastor, it is now overdue. Why is God late for my case? I want to share with you that God is not late for your case. What do you think when Jesus approached Bethany on the 4th day was in the mind of Martha and Mary? Lazarus down in the grave, Jesus walking into the homestead. Could be Martha and Mary would be asking, why come now? When we needed you most, you never came. Why come now when we have cried so much? Why come now where people feel that the Jesus we have been serving has turned to be a disappointment to us? A life comes at moment where the God you have been serving or the Lord you are serving, the spectators of your life would bravely say that the Lord has disappointed you because your prayer item has not been answered for so long. And even you could be you believe it is getting too late. It is too late now for God to do something. I want to share with you, Church of God, despite your situation, God is not late for your case. Tell your neighbor, God is not late for your case. Tell your neighbor, despite the waiting, God is not late for your case. So Jesus visits with Bethany. People are wondering, why must he come now? Does he really have a solution for the problem in Bethany, that is Lazarus in the grave? And everybody feels he is late and there is nothing he can do. There comes a moment in life where you or other people around you can reach a level where they say, your state or your situation, nothing can change it. It has worsened to the worst, and nothing can improve out of your situation. But no matter what they say, in this day 3, I want to share and say that I'm giving you a God who is more than able to change your story into a testimony. I'm giving you a God this hour. When people have said it is impossible, God will say it is still possible. I'm this evening ready to give you a God. When people have murmured about your case, when your case has turned to be the story in the village or in the estate, I'm giving you a God this evening, a God who is able to close all the mouth of gossipers who have been walking with your name saying your case will not work, and God is ready to disappoint them now. Allow me, church, share the following items. Number 1, get contented. Don't be tired of waiting. God is not late for your case. I'm asking a question. I wish you'd answer it in as much as it could turn to be a rhetorical question. When Martha and Mary called on Jesus to visit with their family, they needed a miracle, and the miracle they needed was a miracle of healing. At their own time, they needed a miracle of healing. But Jesus never visited during their timing. Jesus visited at his divine time. And when Jesus visited with that family, he visited that family with a miracle. Not a miracle of healing, but he visited that family with a miracle of resurrection. That is not enough. It is true, Martha and Mary needed a miracle. And why they are holding grudges upon Jesus, and they would turn and say Jesus was later, because Jesus didn't perform the miracle they needed, and at the right time they needed for that miracle. But when Jesus visits them, Jesus still performs a miracle. I want to jog your mind, even if you don't respond. What do you think between the miracle of healing and the miracle of resurrection? Which one is the greater miracle? Whether you respond or not, a miracle of healing is a miracle. It is thick. When you peruse through your Bible, the miracles performed by Jesus, on the miracles of healing performed by Jesus, they are around 24 to 27 depending on the writer. But the miracles of resurrection, they are around 3. They are around 3 on the average. We can visit the miracle of resurrection. We remember the woman of Nain. We can remember the Jairus. And now we can meet Lazarus now in Bethany. Of the 3 resurrections, it is only Lazarus who is resurrected after 3 days or after 1 day. The son of Nain or the Jairus' daughter, they were resurrected on day 1. But this woman, these two ladies, Martha and Mary, when they made a request upon Lazarus to be healed, Jesus came or visited their family with a miracle. So I'm making my point home. There is a blessing in waiting. Don't think God is late for your case. Pastor, why are you saying so? I'm so tired of waiting. No. God is not late for your case. So when Jesus visited with them, he performed a miracle. I said the miracle of resurrection. Somebody is saying, one of the writers is saying, miracle of resurrection is a bigger miracle as compared to miracle of healing. So he makes the point home. Martha and Mary needed a miracle, but Jesus looked at them and said, the miracle you need from my throne is a smaller miracle, my beloved. I'll visit with you because I know how you have walked with me. But when I visit on my timing, I'll visit with a bigger miracle. It may call on you to wait, but just wait because you are waiting for a bigger miracle. I'm making this point, Church of God. Don't get tired of waiting, because in the process of waiting, God is soon visiting you with a bigger miracle. And I'm making it home again. Upon some of our lives, where we have scaled with life, what we have gone through, we don't just need a miracle, but we need bigger miracles. For some of us, for our stories to change, it will not only require a miracle from God, but we need God to perform a bigger miracle. So I'm sharing with you, my sister and my brother, there is a blessing in waiting. Don't get tired. And I'm pleading with God, when He visits with you, may He perform a bigger miracle. If He visits with your family, with your children, may we at the end of it all turn with a testimony. I thought I was waiting in vain, but God has visited with me, and He has visited with a bigger miracle. Some of us, for the last time, our lives don't need miracles, or our lives don't need smaller miracles. Our life, for our lives to make a difference, we need big miracles. So I'm pleading with God, on such a moment, may God visit you with a bigger miracle. Point number 2. Jesus shared and said unto them, it is a principle borrowed from the 6th miracle, which happens to be the miracle of healing of this son. In chapter 9, when the disciples of Jesus ask of Jesus, this young man, is he suffering because of his sins or because of the sins of his parent? But Jesus said, no, this man is suffering the way he's suffering, in that when he's gonna get healed, the name of the Lord may get glorified. In some of our situations, people are asking, why are we suffering? Why are we going through what we are going through? Is it true that we have sinned or gone the wrong way of God? But the writer is saying, at times we go through the hard path of life, not because we have sinned, not because God is angry with us, but because of one point. When God comes, He wants to use our situation to glorify His name. So in the miracle in chapter 11, Jesus makes a point. The sickness of Lazarus has come not to lead unto death, but for the glorification of the Lord when He's going to be healed. I'm pleading and asking God, you have a situation you are battling with. May it be true that God will use it to glorify His name. I'm asking God, you are battling with a situation, you may not know the nature of your situation, but may God use His divine power. After everything, may people turn and say, glory be to God, because sister so-and-so was sick, but we have seen the hand of God in her life. May people turn and say, the children of so-and-so were troublesome, but God has intervened and they have turned to be upright children. May the name of the Lord be glorified. So I'm saying there is a blessing in waiting. Don't get tired. God is not late for your case. And when He comes, may He perform a miracle that will glorify His name. Somebody is asking, I'm almost concluding. Somebody is asking, Pastor, do you know what I'm going through? I don't know, but God knows. Do you know what they are talking about me? I don't know, but God knows. So Jesus waited for the 3 days to pass. So He visited with His family on the 4th day. Why 4 days? Jesus waited for the Pharisees. On the 3rd day, when it knocked the 4th day, the Pharisees told Martha and Mary, now the case in your home is impossible. Nothing can change. Because the 3 days where the spirit of the dead is hovering are gone. Now on the 4th day, don't expect anything good. The Pharisees joined the band and they told Martha and Mary, don't waste time. Lazarus will not come back to life. At times, God may purpose or appear to be late so that some people may walk with your name. Some gossipers may walk with your situation. God may appear to be late so that your situation can turn to be a story in the estate. Not a good story, but a bad one. When you visit with this family, they are talking about your case. Talking about your case. Talking about your case. And they are saying it is impossible. But I love the Lord. He waited for the Sadducees and the Pharisees to talk. When they had said it was impossible, Jesus visited with that family to change every situation which they had said will not work, to work. So when Jesus visited with Bethany, everything which the Sadducees and the Pharisees said were impossible came back to life. One of the things they said Lazarus will not come back to life. But Jesus standing before the tomb and says, Lazarus, come forth. The Sadducees were wondering, can it be true? The Pharisees were wondering, can it be true? But they saw Lazarus come back to life. So I'm saying, Church of God, there is a blessing in waiting and waiting upon the Lord. Don't get tired. Could be you've prayed over a situation and you think God is late for your case. The Bible says in the book of Psalms chapter 40 verse 1, I waited upon the Lord. I waited upon the Lord. The waiting was for so long until the writer of the Psalm says, I thought it was in vain. But when he makes the statement with verse 40, verse 1 of chapter 40, or Psalms number 1, the writer gives us a good message, a message of hope. He says, and I read, I waited patiently for the Lord, and he turned to me and heard my cry for help. Could be you have waited for long. You are doubting the presence of the Lord. There is blessing in waiting. God is not late for your case. Allow me share this, Church of God. Pastor, are you sure? God is not late for my case. Do you know I've cried? Because of my situation, I don't know, but God knows. But Jesus visited with Bethany, or Lazarus, and visited with Martha and Mary. Having cried, he later came in their life because he knew he was able to take away their tears. He was late. He appeared to be late so that they would cry. And having cried, when they see Jesus revive their situation and take away their tears, they could have a testimony that we know something about this God. He is a God who is able to take tears away. There is a point I want to make home. You cannot testify about God that God feeds his children if you have not gotten hungry and God met you and gave you food. You can just make it a story, but for you to have a testimony about God, that God is a healer, you have to be sick. See God walk with you in that sickness. It will not be a story of God, but a testimony, and a true testimony that God is a healer. At times God may wait so that we cry. When he comes and meets us having cried, and he takes our tears away, when we meet somebody who cries under the sun, we can testify to that person, I trust in the Lord. He is able to take the tears away. This is not a story, but a testimony because he has done it for me. I'm pleading with a soul in this gathering. If you are walking in a situation, don't despair. But my prayer for you and with you, may God enable you to have a testimony out of your situation. Maybe you are struggling with marriage. May God make you have a true testimony that when you talk about marriage and its issues, you can tell people, I have a true testimony. God worked it for me. And if somebody is sick and you are equally sick, I'm pleading with God at such an hour, may God come down and meet you at your situation of sickness and make you have a testimony, and a true testimony, not a story. Some of us here, we just have stories, but we don't have testimonies. So God may enable us to go through some situations, not because that is what He wants for us, but He wants us to walk through that path. It will turn to be a blessing because we'll have a true testimony, not a story about a situation. Some of us, when they are given time to talk, they can narrate good stories, but not testimonies. But a few of us, we don't have stories, but we have testimonies. I'm pleading with God, out of your situation, may God enable you to walk with a testimony out of your situation, and it will turn to be a blessing unto you and other people. I'm concluding by saying, I'm asking God, number one, in your waiting, may it turn to be a blessing. I'm pleading with God, if you have walked into the corridors and you believe God is late for your case, I'm pleading with God and asking of Him, may He visit with you and may He perform a bigger miracle. Point number two, if people are talking of your situation, may God come, perform some miracle, and miracles that will close their mouth. And when asked, of late you people don't talk about their situation, and they will say, God answered their prayer. And I'm sharing lastly, that it is true, you are going through a situation. May God use that situation for the glorification of your name. And when God uses your situation for the glorification of your name, it will turn to be a blessing. And lastly, I'm saying, I don't want to make many points. Out of your situation, may you not have a story, but may you have a testimony. May God help you to have a testimony that my children were addicted in drugs, but I can testify God has delivered them. May you have a testimony that you were sick and you had walked hospitals. Healing never came, but God brought it. So you are not walking with a story of healing, but may God help you to walk with a testimony of healing. May God help you to walk with a testimony of employment, not a story of employment. May you turn and say, I believe God leads His own to be employed because I'm a testimony of that fact. I'm pleading with God at this juncture. Where you need God most, may God turn that situation from a story to a testimony in Jesus' name. We'll stand up this day. I'll pray with you. If somebody has not brought a prayer item, you are free to bring it. If you have not brought your prayer item, we want to move before the Lord. You are free to bring it. Don't forget, you have a story about your condition, but may God change that story of yours into a testimony. God bless you. We always do 3 sessions of prayer: individual prayer, group prayer, and then I lead. Today we'll only do 2. We'll do individual prayer, then I'll finish. Tell God what you want Him to change from a story to a testimony. Tell God your situation you wish He uses for the glorification of your name. Tell God It has been a talk in the estate. Do something that will close their mouths. Tell God, I'm ready to wait upon your time, but when you visit, perform a bigger miracle in my situation. So I'm giving 3 minutes. Tell God, individual prayer. Tell God, this is the story I want you to change into a testimony. Tell God, this is the situation of my life which I want you to use for the glorification of your name. Tell God, they have talked over it for so long. Do something that will close their mouths. And tell God, I really need a bigger miracle in my situation. And also tell God, because the Bible sheds that picture. Tell God, they believe this thing is dead, but resurrect it, O Lord. When they believed Lazarus was dead, God resurrected Lazarus. When they believe your situation is dead, may God resurrect that story of yours and may it come back to life.